My name is Ramona, and I am 28 years old. My boyfriend looked at me across the table and said, "If you can't handle my world, then leave." I didn't argue. I didn't explain myself. I just said, okay. At the time, I don't think he believed me. We had been together for almost 2 years, living together for one. On paper, it probably looked solid. No cheating scandals, no public blow-ups, no dramatic scenes. Just a couple with shared routines and future talk that felt safe enough not to question. That's what I thought we were. The trip was his idea, a long weekend back in his hometown for what he called a work-social crossover. Fancy dinners, colleagues who spoke entirely in job titles, people who ranked each other in conversation without even pretending not to. He said it would be good for us. I already knew it would be exhausting. From the moment we landed, he was different, colder, sharper. Every sentence from him felt like a test I didn't know I was taking. Don't say that here. Just smile. You don't need to explain yourself. God, you're being embarrassing. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. The disappointment was always implied. At dinner the second night, I finally pushed back. Nothing dramatic. I just said, "You don't have to talk to me like that." He laughed, not nervous, not awkward, amused. He swirled his drink and said, "This is my world. If you can't handle it, you should leave." The table went quiet. A couple of his friends smirked like they were watching a show. I looked at him, waiting for the follow-up. The just kidding, the softening, it didn't come. So I said, "Okay." He rolled his eyes. "Don't be dramatic. You know what I mean." But I didn't say anything else. I paid the check, went back to the hotel, and let him storm ahead of me, already typing on his phone, probably complaining about how I'd ruined the night. He fell asleep fast, like nothing had happened. I stayed awake. That sentence kept replaying in my head. Leave if you can't handle my world. He didn't say it in anger. He said it like a fact. Around 3 a.m, I opened my banking app. By then, the decision felt calm, almost obvious. I froze every shared card we had. Rent card, travel card, emergency card. He always joked about forgetting to pay me back. I stopped finding it funny. At 4:15, I packed quietly. At 5 a.m., I ordered a ride. At 5:42, I was on a flight home. He was still sleeping when the plane took off. I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear. The moment I landed, my phone started vibrating like it was angry at me. Not one call, not two, a flood. I didn't answer the first 10 or the next 20. I sat at the gate with my backpack between my feet, my phone buzzing nonstop in my hand, and felt strangely steady, like something had already ended and my body knew it before my brain caught up. I waited until I was in the car heading home before I read the messages. The first ones were annoyed. "Where are you? This isn't funny. Ramona, pick up." Then confused. "Why aren't you answering? Are you still asleep?" Then sharp. "You're seriously being immature right now." The tone shifted fast, like it always did when he didn't get an immediate response. A few minutes later, the text turned logistical. "My card isn't working. Did you move money?" "The hotel says the incidentals card was declined." That's when I knew he was awake. I could picture it perfectly. Him in that white hotel robe he liked, hair messy but still styled, standing at the front desk with that tight smile he used when things weren't going his way, laughing it off, making a joke, expecting the problem to bend. It didn't. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the messages had turned frantic. "Why would you freeze the cards? This is not okay. Answer me now." I finally picked up one call, not to talk, just to hear him. "Are you out of your mind?" he snapped the second I said hello. Hello, no concern, just anger. "The card is frozen. Fix it." "I'm home," I said. There was a pause, a real one this time. "What do you mean home?" "I took you at your word," I replied. "You said leave if I couldn't handle your world." His voice dropped into that icy calm he used when he was furious. "You don't get to decide that in the middle of my trip." "I didn't," I said. "You did." He laughed, sharp and disbelieving. "You think this is you standing up for yourself? You just abandoned me." "I know," I said quietly. "I exited." That's when he started yelling. About flights, about embarrassment, about how he had meetings and plans and people waiting on him. Not once did he ask why I left, just how it inconvenienced him. I hung up when he called me selfish. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a call. It was a photo. A screenshot of his banking app. 0 access, 0 funds. Under it, 1 line. "You better fix this before you ruin everything." I stared at the message for a long moment, then put my phone face down. For the first time in months, the silence felt like relief. By the time I got inside, my phone battery was at 12% and my nerves were steady in a way that felt unfamiliar. I dropped my bag by the door, sat on my couch, and finally listened to one of his voicemails. "Ramona, this is not funny," he said, voice tight and clipped. "I have plans. You don't get to disappear and sabotage me because you had a bad night. Sabotage, not hurt, not confused, sabotage." I plugged my phone in and watched the messages roll in like a live feed. The hotel needs a card to keep my room. My ride got declined. I'm literally stuck. Then, about 20 minutes later, a different tone. "Okay, let's calm down. We can talk when you fix this. I didn't mean it like that." That one almost made me laugh. I texted back short and simple. "You told me to leave." I did. 3 dots appeared immediately. "You're twisting my words. You know how I talk. Everyone was drinking." There it was, the rewrite. I didn't respond. Instead, I logged into our shared account and separated everything. My money back where it belonged. Automatic payments canceled. Streaming services switched to my email. The small conveniences he never noticed because they always just worked. 10 minutes later, he called again. I answered. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" he demanded. "I'm at the front desk and they're asking questions." "I'm sure you'll figure it out," I said. His voice sharpened. "I shouldn't have to figure it out. You're my girlfriend." "Were," I said. "You made that pretty clear." He scoffed. "You're acting like I kicked you out. I was just being honest." "Honest doesn't mean careless," I replied. "And it doesn't mean I have to stay." There was silence, then quieter, more dangerous. "You're going to regret this." "Maybe," I said, "but not today." He hung up. 5 minutes later, I got a notification. He tagged me in an Instagram story, some vague quote about knowing your worth and people who can't keep up. I stared at it for a second, then muted him. He thought this was about control. He hadn't realized yet that I'd already let go. I thought muting him would slow things down. It didn't. By noon, his friends started reaching out, not asking what happened, telling me what I'd done. Apparently, I was emotionally unstable, insecure, pulling a power move because I couldn't keep up. Funny how quickly the story gets written when one person controls the narrative. One message stuck out. "She's stranded. This is cruel." You always knew how important this trip was to him. Always knew. As if knowing meant agreeing to be treated like an accessory. As if my role was to absorb whatever mood he was in and keep the machinery running. He called again around 1 p.m. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. His voice was different this time, controlled, careful. "Okay," he said. "Let's reset. You made your point." "I wasn't making a point," I replied. "I was listening." He exhaled sharply. "You're being dramatic. You know I didn't mean leave literally." "That's the problem," I said. "You say things you don't mean and expect people to just absorb it." He paused, then switched tactics. "I'm embarrassed, Ramona. People are asking why you're not here." I waited. "Well," he snapped, "aren't you going to apologize?" "No." His breath hitched. "So what, you're just done?" I looked around my apartment. Quiet, familiar, suddenly peaceful. "I think I've been done longer than I realized." That set him off. "You think you're better than me now? You think running home makes you strong?" "No," I said calmly. "It just makes me not miserable." He laughed bitterly. "You'll come crawling back. You always do." That certainty, that assumption that I'd fold, told me everything I needed to know about how he saw me. "I'm not freezing the cards forever," I added. "I'm closing shared access. You'll need to handle your own expenses." There it was, panic bleeding through the anger. "You can't do that," he said. "I didn't plan for this." "I know," I replied. "I always did." He went quiet, not angry, not sarcastic, afraid. "I need you right now," he said softly. For the first time, I didn't feel pulled by it. "I needed you to not treat me like an inconvenience," I said. "We're even." He hung up without another word. 5 minutes later, the calls started again. I didn't answer. Somewhere between takeoff and landing, I'd finally left his world. He just hadn't caught up yet. The messages got longer and meaner. When anger didn't work, he went for shame. "Everyone thinks this is unhinged. My friends are asking if you're having some kind of breakdown. You really showed your true colors." I read them all without replying. It was strange how predictable it felt. Around 4 p.m, he finally admitted the real problem. "They won't extend my room without a valid card." There it was. No emotion, no reflection, just logistics. I typed, deleted, then finally sent one sentence. "You'll need to put it on your own card." The reply came instantly. "I don't have one with that limit." I could practically hear him pacing the hotel hallway, phone pressed to his ear, smile cracking as the staff waited politely for an answer he didn't have. Be reasonable, he wrote next. This is humiliating. Humiliating. Not hurting. Not confusing. Just humiliating because it was happening in front of other people. I sat back on my couch and realized something quietly important. He didn't miss me. He missed what I handled. The next call came from a number I didn't recognize. Hi, a woman said carefully. This is his friend. He's really upset. He didn't mean what he said. He said it clearly, I replied. Well, she continued, relationships are about compromise. They are, I agreed. Ultimatums aren't. There was an awkward pause. So are you going to help him? I thought about the dinners where I'd been corrected mid-sentence. The jokes at my expense. The way he'd say my world like I was just visiting. No, I said, I already did. I left. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, he sent a message without anger or sarcasm. I didn't think you'd actually go. I stared at it for a long time, then replied, neither did I. Night fell before I realized how tired I was. Not physically, emotionally. The kind of exhaustion that comes from being on for someone for too long. I made dinner. Something simple. And for the first time in weeks, I ate without checking my phone every 2 minutes. He didn't stop. Calls, texts, voice notes, long paragraphs, followed by single words like please and answer me. Around 10, he switched again, anger mixed with panic. Do you have any idea how this makes you look? People are talking. You could have just talked to me like an adult. That one annoyed me more than it should have. I finally replied, I did. You laughed. There was a long pause. Then I was drunk. I was stressed. You know how much pressure I'm under. Pressure. Always pressure. Somehow there was always pressure on him, and I was just supposed to absorb it quietly. At midnight, he called again. I answered. His voice was shaky now. No sharp edges left. I can't sleep, he said. This doesn't feel real. It is, I replied. You really left, he whispered. Yes. Another pause. So what am I supposed to do? That question did it. Not because it was cruel, because it was honest. I don't know, I said. That's yours to figure out. He started crying then. Not loud. Small, broken sounds, like he was trying not to be heard by whoever was sharing the room with him. I didn't think you'd actually walk away, he said. You always stayed. I stayed because I thought you cared, I replied. Not because I couldn't leave. He went quiet. When he spoke again, his voice was flat. So that's it. You're just done. I took a breath. I think I've been done for a while. I just finally caught up. He hung up without saying goodbye. I woke up the next morning to 17 missed calls, all from him. One from an unknown number I didn't answer, but didn't need to. I already knew it was one of his friends, probably calling to check in, while actually trying to pressure me into fixing things. I didn't feel panicked. I felt steady. That scared me a little. Around 9, he finally sent a message that wasn't angry or pleading. It was calculated. We need to talk like adults. This is getting out of hand. I stared at it while drinking my coffee. The irony almost made me choke. We had talked. He just didn't like the outcome. I replied, we already did. You told me to leave. I listened. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. You're acting like I threw you out on the street. I was frustrated. You know how my world works. There it was again. My world. I typed slowly. Your world didn't have room for me unless I stayed quiet. His response came fast. That's not true. You just couldn't keep up. You always took things personally. The irritation rose, then passed. Funny how powerless insults become when you're no longer trying to be chosen. An hour later, he sent a voice note. I almost didn't listen, but curiosity won. His voice sounded brittle. I'm still here. I had to downgrade rooms. Everyone keeps asking where you are. This is humiliating. Still humiliating. Still about appearances. I didn't think you'd actually do this, he added. You always needed me more than I needed you. That one stung, but not the way he intended. I texted back, that's what you told yourself, so you didn't have to be careful with me. He didn't reply. Almost 3 hours passed. Then my phone buzzed again. A photo. His suitcase half packed on a hotel bed. Captioned, so this is really happening. I looked at it, felt a strange mix of sadness and relief, and typed one last thing. Yes, it is. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. He was finally starting to understand that when you tell someone to leave, sometimes they do, and they don't come back apologizing. The quiet that followed felt different. Not peaceful yet, just empty, like the static had finally cut out and my ears were still adjusting. Around 7 in the evening, he reached out again. I talked to my mom. Of course he did. She says you're being dramatic and punishing me instead of communicating. I felt that old pull to explain myself, to smooth things over, to make it easier for everyone. I let it pass. Then another message. She also asked why I told you to leave if I didn't mean it. That made me sit up. I didn't have an answer, he added. I imagined him pacing the hotel room, replaying the dinner, the words, the tone he'd used because he was used to getting away with it, used to me swallowing things so he didn't have to. He called a few minutes later. I answered. I didn't think it would go this far, he said quietly. It didn't, I replied. It just went where you pointed it. I was angry, he said. You embarrassed me. By existing? I asked. You know what I mean, he snapped, then caught himself. I mean, you don't always fit. There it was, the truth he'd been circling for months. I never asked to fit into your world, I said. I asked to be respected in it. He was quiet for a long time. So what now, he asked. Now you finish your trip, I said, and I stay home. That's it, he asked. Yes. His voice dropped. You're really not coming back. No, I said. I already did what you told me to. He didn't argue this time. He just said, okay. And for the first time, it sounded like he actually understood what that word meant. The next morning felt unreal. No alarms going off early so I could match his schedule. No checking my phone first thing to see if I'd already messed something up overnight. Just quiet sunlight through my blinds and coffee I drank slowly instead of between apologies. He didn't contact me until almost noon. When he did, it wasn't a call. It was a long message, the kind that's clearly been typed, deleted, rewritten, then sent anyway. I'm coming home tomorrow. We need to figure out logistics. I don't know what you're expecting, but I can't just pretend this never happened. That last line almost impressed me. Almost. I replied a few minutes later. You'll need to make other arrangements. I'm not pretending either. His response came fast. So I'm just not welcome in my own apartment now. I read that twice. My apartment, he'd said for months. Funny how it was suddenly ours again. The lease is in my name, I typed. You know that. He didn't answer right away. When he did, it was a voice note. You're really doing this. Disbelief creeping back in after everything we've been through. You're just erasing me. I called him back. I'm not erasing you. I'm separating from you. That's the same thing, he snapped. It's not, I said. Erasing is pretending nothing happened. I remember everything. He went quiet, then softer. I didn't think you'd actually choose yourself. Neither did I. I didn't plan to, I said. I just got tired of choosing you when you never chose me. He sighed, long and shaky. So what? You're done. Done. I looked around my apartment again, my place, my rules, my peace, and felt something settle in my chest. Yes, I am. He didn't argue this time. He just said he'd pack his things when he got back. After we hung up, I sat there for a while, letting it sink in. I hadn't left angry. I hadn't left to teach him a lesson. I left because he told me to, and for the first time, I believed him. He came back 2 days later, not to talk, not to fix anything, just to collect what was his. I wasn't home when he arrived. That was intentional. I'd left a note on the counter with a time window and instructions. Boxes by the door, closet cleared on my side. No confrontation, no audience. He texted once while he was there. This feels unreal. I read it an hour later and didn't reply. When I got back that evening, the apartment felt different, lighter. His things were gone. Shoes, clothes, the framed photos from trips he'd always said were for the aesthetic. Even the couch pillows he'd insisted on buying were missing. Good. The last thing he left behind was a key on the counter. That night, he sent one final message. I didn't think telling you to leave would actually make you go. I thought you'd fight. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing. I fought by staying longer than I should have. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. No more calls, no more messages, no more friends reaching out on his behalf. The noise finally stopped. A week later, someone asked me if I regretted it, if I wished I'd handled it more gently. Here's the truth. I didn't leave to hurt him. I left because the moment someone tells you to leave, they're telling you exactly how much space you have in their life. He thought his world was something I was lucky to be allowed into. Turns out, I was the one holding the door open the whole time. When I finally stepped out, it didn't collapse. It just kept going without his voice, in my head telling me I didn't belong. And for the first time since I met him, I didn't feel like I was visiting someone else's life. I was back in my own.